All right. So, I guess today we're going to talk about what everyone's talking about on the internet is the Try Guys, and specifically about Ned Fulmer. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but so it's a case of course, Hollywood cheating scandal. Only this time it involves an influencer. And for anybody who doesn't know who the Try Guys are, which I think at this point almost half the internet has figured out. So the Try Guys were with BuzzFeed, right? Like we kind of grew up with BuzzFeed. I don't know if BuzzFeed even still exists, but there were a bunch of four guys who separated from the company and started doing these wacky videos, which were fun and entertaining. Over the years, they've been around for like 8 years. They've become a legit business. They have over 100 million views. They have a very strong viewer base. And one of the guys was caught cheating with a producer on the same show. So, I mean, listen, it's cheating in any form, no matter who does it, is sick, right? You made a commitment to marriage and you owe your partner that promise. But for some reason, Ned Fumer is being roasted by everyone, including his own company. And so I figured we would see what our opinion is on it because I've spoken to you a bit outside of this conversation. And I think we tend to disagree at large with the rest of the internet, right?
Yeah, I think you said it right in the beginning, where we kind of grew up in the sense maybe in the last 10 years or so, seeing a lot of the Try Guy videos,
Right.
and they've it's been very I think it's been a very personal journey for a lot of them through the videos, where
Mm-hmm.
they've shared parts of their lives that were, maybe they not kept hidden, but maybe things that they discovered about themselves or were not as comfortable being open about. And for that vulnerability to come through on the camera is why people really love watching their videos, whether it was Eugene
True.
coming out,
Yeah.
or people getting married, people trying different dating apps, whatever, but the whole
Having
idea was,
kids.
yeah,
Yeah.
having kids, what it's like to have kids, what it's like for even the wives or the girlfriends on the other side of the Try Guys, their partners, post being pregnant and post having kids, what it was like to be comfortable with their bodies. I think there's a whole
Yeah.
video on that one. So
Yeah.
it's it's that part of it that I think help people kind of learn more about these Try Guys, all of them,
Yeah.
because it is an intimate relationship almost, that they're portraying, or at least putting forward on the internet, and they're being extremely vulnerable with it. So hats off to them for that. They created good content. They obviously are popular for a reason. But yeah, I completely disagree with the way that they've handled this situation. Honestly, like that 5 minute video that they released, the Try Guys released, which was the statement.
I don't even want to discuss that right now. Let's lay the ground because we have a lot to talk about that 5 minute video because there were lots of people I wanted to smack the shit out of. So,
It was very so yeah, I think that the way they handled it, it sounded very cold. It sounded like the way any corporation would handle such a
Ration would handle
situation,
it. Yeah.
right? Talking about how HR was going to be in the picture, or we've reviewed the case thoroughly. Um, it didn't seem appropriate given the way that they've kind of been so vulnerable in the past with their stories. My main argument with this whole way of the way that they've handled it is that if you are trying to be vulnerable on the internet and come out as gay like Eugene did, or talk about your relationships and your having kids and families, infidelity in this situation was part of that equation. I'm not saying it's right or
Yeah.
wrong, I'm saying it's part of it. Now, for you to suddenly take the moral ground and be like, no, we are holier than thou and this is not part of our company's image, come on. Like, you're just you're basically saying that you're doctoring everything that you're putting online so that it looks perfect.
So let's lay down the base for what exactly happened, right? Because I'm sure. Well, I think everybody on the internet knows what happened by now, but just for our sake. So they've had this company. It's four guys who built a company. They built it about 8 years ago, uh, and over time, their better halves also got involved into it. And if anyone's ever watched even a single video, you realize that the structure of all of their videos and the company aesthetics in general is very informal because they've had their wives and girlfriends on the show. They've even had part of the crew, the producers or editors as part of the show as well. You know, you'll find some of them sometimes judging a show, or sometimes they'll just go on the ride and the cameraman's there on camera as well. So very informal, friendly, like you mentioned, relatable. One of them, I think, her name I'm forgetting. I don't want to mention because I might be wrong. He was caught cheating with her in a club in New York on Labor Day weekend. And they were notified about it through a Reddit post with pictures as proof. And when these three other guys went and asked Ned, he said, yes, I've been in a relationship, an affair with this particular person for a while now. Now, I understand that this company, like I mentioned, is very informal. They include their wives. It's a very close knit sort of community within the company. And I think the issue that you and I have is that for a company that sells itself on relatability and vulnerability and imperfection, handle this like a stone cold corporation, as you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned. Because from my point of view, if he's cheated on his wife, it's a big deal between him, his wife, and his family.
Mm-hmm.
The corporation has absolutely nothing in say about this. I understand they're all friends. I understand they're in a way supporting the wife. I get that. But the man gave 8 years of his life to building a company. You do not get to take that away. It's not your place. So that's the part I think that both you and I have a problem is like, yes, it's an issue. Try and support them as much as you can, but stay the hell out of it. What does the company have to do with this? I understand that the image of the company might be tarnished a bit or a lot, and there is some, PR damage that needs to be handled, but that's why you have PR teams.
Right.
So that's the first part. Second, the idea that they call themselves friends. Are you serious? Like one mistake, and you're like, we do not know you, and you are not a friend, and we're going to kick you out of the company? It's a long life. You're gonna make mistakes on the way.
Yeah. It's
Like you're dating the person you're friends with is a human being, not a robot.
right.
So
It just kind of
that's the part.
goes so against their, what I thought they stood for. That I think that's the disappointing
But
part. But
but have you read the comments though? The comments say that that they're so happy that the Try Guys handled it in the way they expected them to.
yeah, I don't get that
Like
part. I really don't understand that part because it seems very cold. It seems like,
yeah,
it doesn't even want to look at the other side of, again, it's not your business or my business or anyone's business what happens in his marriage, right? That's his business.
definitely not the companies either.
Right, exactly. But then it is there at the end of the day, I believe he's trying to work it out with his wife. I think they actually have images of
Yeah,
them or they've had a comment from them saying that, yeah, we're going to try and work it out. Now, if they're willing
yeah.
to work it out, but somehow this goes against whatever, image you have for your company in your head as being, we are a family company and we don't believe in infidelity. But infidelity happens, cheating happens, mistakes happen,
All around.
right? That's the idea. Is like you want to not promote it, but at the same time say that this person is real. He made a mistake. He's our friend. That would be a friend. No, you don't call that person a friend if you're like, we were done with you. You made that mistake that one time.
Yeah.
you're out of the team.
What the
Um,
hell?
I just wanted to talk about a person who handled this really differently, and that was Dax Shepard, who hosts the Armchair Expert podcast.
Yeah.
And Dax Shepard is an actor. You know, he's been in Hollywood for a while now. He's not the most famous actor, but at the same time, his podcast is really famous. He's done really well with
Super
it.
popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so Dax Shepard was someone who struggled with his sobriety for a while and had
Yeah.
addictions and went through,
Hmm.
you know, I believe AA for at least for his alcohol addiction, and he had maintained a sobriety, I want to say, for around 16 years. And that was a badge of
It's a
honor
long
that he
time.
wore.
Yeah.
16 years for someone who is, can't trust themselves around alcohol is a long time, So it's a
Yeah.
process. It's going to meetings multiple times a week, and it's doing that for years consistently. There's no break. You don't just get to be like, I achieved my goal, I'm done. You just keep doing it. So,
Yeah.
as someone who was very open about his addictions, he also liked to talk about the fact that, I have this many years of sobriety. It's been a hard journey, but I encourage people to take it because it's possible. I want to say in 2020, so a couple of years ago, he actually relapsed and he
Right.
hid it for a while. He got into a motorcycle accident or some sort of automobile accident, and he was on as part of this post-operative care or post, whatever care. He was on some painkillers, and that kind of is the gateway for someone who was already
Yeah.
into cocaine or whatever his addictions were. It kind of became the thing where it led to him wanting more, and he started hiding it from people, and he did end up procuring stuff illegally. And he said, like, he actually came out with it, and he said, like, everyone around me who was close to me knew something was off. Like my
Yeah.
family, my wife, my partners, as far as like the business, they all knew something was off. But I was gaslighting them, and I had been very good about not gaslighting people for years. But I was gaslighting
Yeah.
them by making them believe that there was something wrong in their head. That, "Oh, I'm perfectly fine. Why do you think there's something wrong right now?" So it took a
Right.
lot for him then to kind of come out a few months later in a podcast episode and be very vulnerable and open and say, listen, I messed up. I
Yeah.
am, I know after 16 years of sobriety, I'm on day one again or day whatever to start from the
Yeah.
beginning. And because I thought that when people saw that I was sober for 16 years, people who maybe were on that journey or wanted to be on that journey, that would mean a lot to them to have someone who's in the public, who's a public figure to come out and
Yeah.
say stuff like that. It meant that, it was possible for me too. But a friend of mine actually told me that no, it's not the fact that you've had 16 years of sobriety and you're married to, a famous actress. That's the
Yeah.
least relatable thing to anyone out there. For anyone who's wanting to
Right.
try and become sober or get
Yeah.
on that journey. But the fact that you came out and said that no, I made a mistake and I goofed up, but I'm still going to try again, that means more.
It's the
That's
most human
vulnerability.
thing ever.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what is so relatable. Not the fact that you're
Yeah.
perfect and you've had
You
16 years of
fuck
amazing.
up.
Yeah.
You
So,
fuck up every day, sometimes twice a day. That's just how human beings are.
right.
And with talking, I'm talking about Ned. I was reading a couple of tweets, and there was someone, and it's like, why are people so upset? And I think she mentioned a very good point. She's like, over the years, I mean, we've come to know the Try Guys through some of their strong personality traits, so to speak. Keith is like the food guy. Zach is a person who has a lot of ailments, and he talks about how he deals with them and heals himself. Eugene, of course, is gay and all for the LGBTQ community and fashion forward. And Ned is somebody who's always prided himself on being a family guy,
Mhm.
right? He that to some extent, I mean, he's monetized it by talking about his wife, about his kids, and how he's in love with the idea of love and family and relationship. He's released cookbooks with his wives. He's had episodes with his wives where they go and find whether dine in or dine out.
Mhm.
It's been super popular. So I understand. It's the one thing that he used to promote himself in the group and set himself apart is the one thing that he cheated on. And so there's this sense of like, oh, well, he's not genuine, right? But then again, I mean, it's such a hard thing to live up to, like the perfect family guy. you fuck up. And like you said, what would have been really nice is for him to still be a part of the Try Guys, come up and talk about it.
It doesn't. So that's the funny part with this whole thing is, if you when you go on YouTube now that all this has happened and people are actually going through old Try Guy videos trying to find
Oh God.
evidence, of maybe there's like visual cues where you can see this person saying
A
stuff about
sliver of hint or a hint of
yeah, like
yeah.
sarcasm around his marriage or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that's it. It's basically people are hurt that someone who they maybe held up as a role model for marriage, for family,
Yeah.
has now messed up. And he's been officially canceled because of that. Not he's not going to be and this is the part where I'm like, when someone is a public figure, I get that there's an added responsibility and they have to say the right thing all
True.
the time. But how much of it? Because when you're saying the right thing all the time, eventually you're lying. You're not being honest, and you're making
At that
stuff
point,
up.
you're a Kardashian. Everything is scripted.
And that's exactly what this has turned into. This went from the Try Guys being about being vulnerable, trying things, to suddenly it becoming a drama, where it really has.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone's like looking at it more as that, like a reality show. Oh, are they going to get back together? Or is he going to become a Try Guy again? Which is
And the one thing that I want to make clear, and I think you will agree with me, is that we're in no way condoning or supporting infidelity.
or Ned.
Like,
Honestly, like not even.
or Ned.
I'm not like Team
Like,
Ned or anything. I'm just saying
not at
the
all.
way that this
It's
is
just
handled is poor.
professionally by a company is wrong. Because I did look it up. It is not illegal in the US or in Canada to have relationships, consensual relationships. Of course, he was cheating on his wife. I get that. But it is a consensual relationship. It is not illegal in the workplace to have relationships.
Right.
So you cannot be like, oh, well, you've been cheating on your wife and your relationship with an employee, so now you got to be kicked out of the company. 8 years, dude, just gone down the drain. And I hope he sues. And just on an ending note, they did release a video that you were going to talk about. We've said this again, not part of the company. I just wanted to smack Eugene every time he stopped.
If looks could kill, man, Ned would be dead right now. If Eugene's looks, because that the way he's like looking at the camera, I'm pretty sure Ned would be
It's
dead.
just
Right?
immature. It's just really immature. And it's kind of sad because I actually liked Eugene a lot. I remember when he had that video about coming out, I sent it to everyone I knew because I thought it was fantastic.
Same thing, right? With now are we just gonna remember Ned as the guy who cheated? Like he's made good videos before, but now he's suddenly the guy.
Yeah.
That's just the last thing we remember about him. But
No,
I personally
Try
now
Guys have
just
done
feel like they've
nonsense.
spun it perfectly as a PR stunt to get all the
Yeah.
views, and Ned is without a job. They could give a shit, but they've got all the views.
I really, really pray that Ned and his wife Ariel, they really come out of this strong.
Yeah.
They sort out whatever issues it has. What I really would have wanted and wished for is that not the Try Guys to punish him. Like, the company should have gone on the way it is. If Ariel, his wife, did have an issue, she could have filed for divorce and say that I have contributed to this company, I want a part of it. That I can get on board with because you made a commitment to her and she deserves every penny of the divorce because you broke a commitment.
Right.
What the Try Guys have on this, I don't get.
This was fun to talk about. I mean, it was. I didn't think this would
It's
be a
sad.
topic.
But
No, whatever. Like sad, yes, agreed, sad. But
Yeah.
it's still so many different viewpoints just on the internet between us. Like we agree on things, we disagree on things, but just this one story. And poor Ned was without a job at this point, so
I know.
hopefully that works out. Something
Ben,
works out for him.
just letting you know, all the internet is going to be against us.
Probably.
I haven't found anybody who shares our viewpoint. Not one.
We'll see.
So
Well, leave your comments if
we'll
you
see.
agree or disagree.